Hello guys. First of all, I welcome you to second set of SQL interview question. We have already seen set 1, and in the set 1 we are encountered with some of the basic level MySQL interview questions, and we are moving towards other questions. So let's get started. So our first question is, explain the difference between primary key and candidate key in MySQL. Okay. First of all, primary key is the column that uniquely identifies each record in the table. Okay. On the other hand, candidate key can be any column that can quantify as a unique key in the database. Okay. If it quantify as a unique key, then we will call it as a candidate key. The second difference is that in MySQL, only one candidate key can be behave as a primary key. Okay. On the other hand, candidate key in MySQL, there are multiple candidate key are available. Okay. And each candidate key can behave as a primary key. So this is the basic difference we have. Actually, the primary key is the column that uniquely identifies the record, and the candidate key is the column which quantify as a unique key. There can be only one primary key in the key column in the database or tables, and there is multiple candidate key can have in the table. So this is the basic difference we have between the primary key and candidate key. Let's move towards the other question we have. What is triggers and how it can be used in MySQL? Okay. In MySQL, a trigger is a database object that is directly associated with the table. Okay. And it will be activated when a defined action is executed for a table. It can be performed when you run one of the following SQL insert, update, and delete command. Okay, its activation time can be before and after. So let's understand this. The thing is that triggers are the database objects that perform certain operation whenever we try to execute certain insert, update, and delete operations. Whenever this operation happens, before insert update delete or after insert update delete, if I want to perform certain action in the database, then I will use trigger for that. And this is the simple syntax we have and simple trigger we have for the example. First of all, we change the delimiter. So what is the basic default delimiter for the MySQL? It's a semicolon. Okay. After that, it's a statement of create trigger. Okay, then trigger name. In this case, it's a age check. And in the before and end, we will basically specify what action we want. This is the simple SQL statement we have. Then we again revert back to our default delimiter. So this is the basic triggers we have in the MySQL. Let's move forward with the other question we have. What is the difference between now and current date in MySQL? Okay, first of all, in MySQL, there are different functions. There are two types of functions. Either it is a built-in functions or user-defined functions. Okay, and in the built-in functions, we have a several types. First is a string function, then we have datetime functions, then we have numerical functions, and in numerical functions, we have aggregation functions. So now and current date come under the date time functions. Okay. So what is the basic difference between now and current date? First of all, when we use now functions, it will give us date and time in the current context. What this means, if I use the now functions, it will give me a current date and time. So date format will be year, month, and day, and time format will be hour, minute, and second. Okay. And in the current date, when I use the current date function, as it signifies, it only gives me a date part, which means that the time part is truncated or neglected. So this is the basic difference between now and current date. Both are the built-in function in MySQL. Okay, so let's move forward. List some of the comparison operators used in MySQL. Okay, so in MySQL, there are different types of comparison operator we have, such as logical operator, arithmetic operator, compound operator, bitwise operator. Okay, and in that we have a one category of comparison operator, and in that different types of comparison operator we have, such as equal to, less than, greater than equal to, less than or equal to, and not equal to. Basically these operators return true and false based on some condition. Let's take one example here. Suppose I have a age column and I take a condition in where clause where age is greater than 18. So basically it compares the value in that age column with 18. If it is a greater than 18, then it should return true. If it is a less than or equal to 18, then it should return false. And based on that true and false result, the record will be filtered out from the table. Clear? So these are the some of the comparison operator we have in the MySQL. Let's move forward with the other question we have. What is the use of concat in MySQL? Okay, again, I already talked to you guys. There are different built-in functions are available, and concat functions come under the string functions. So what basically concat function is does? Concat used to combine two or more strings. Let's take one example. If suppose I have a table and I have a separate column of first name, separate column of last name, and based on these two column I want to form the another column which contains the first name and last name of the person, then I can do it by using the concat functions. Here we can see that this is a simple syntax we have. Select concat, first string I'll provide it, then separator, then second string. Okay, it will basically concat this two string and form the new column. Clear guys? So this is the basic function we have which called concat. Concatenate two or more strings or two or more columns. Let's move towards the other question we have. What is the difference between is null and is not null? Okay, it is related to null operations in MySQL. Okay, whenever I want to include the null values or whenever I don't want to include the null values, you can use is null and is not null. If I use is null operator, then it should return the columns which contains the null value, and is not returns the values or columns that does not contain null values. This is the basic difference between is null and is not null. So here we can see there is a basic syntax we have. First I want to select ID from users tables, but there is condition applied on a user type column. What is the condition? User type is not null. So whenever there is a null value in this column, it will get filter out. Clear? So this is the basic syntax we have. Let's move forward with the other question. What are the drivers in MySQL? Okay, it's a backend thing in MySQL. First of all, in MySQL, standard based on drivers for JDBC, ODBC, and .NET. These are the Java related terminology. Okay, are provided in order to enable developers in building database applications with their language of choice. Okay, so if I want to develop some database applications, I will go with the drivers, and there are different types of drivers available. First PHP drivers, then JDBC drivers we have, ODBC drivers we have, C wrappers, Python, Perl, Ruby, CCAP 11 PHP, Ado. These are the different kinds of functionality or drivers we have in case of developing the application with respect to MySQL. Okay, let's move forward. Why use triggers in MySQL? So we already seen one question regarding to the triggers. So this is the second question we have with respect to triggers. So in MySQL, a trigger corresponds to a set of action running automatically when particular change in operation like SQL insert, update, or delete occurs. Okay, whenever I want to perform certain action based on the insert, update, delete, then I can use the triggers. Okay, so here is one example. So it is a create trigger statement, and this is the trigger name, and in the before and end clause I want to perform certain operations with respect to updating the records. Okay, and then we will default back to our delimiter. So this is the trigger functions we have. Okay, so how would you select so next question we have, how would you select all the user whose phone number is null in MySQL? Okay, so this is the basic syntax we have for that. So it's a basic level query. So there are some query questions as well. So we have suppose we have a users table is there, and from the users tables we can select id, name. Okay, and in the where clause we basically insert the phone number column, and in the phone number we will took it as is null. Okay, so in that way we can select id and name of the persons where phone number is null. Clear, guys?